those movies that are chosen in those circumstances when like the kids have a little bit of autonomy for the first time, I think are such fascinating choices. And I would love to talk about to other people of like, what were the movies that you saw either
That's how
that
I
you
saw
were like,
Fight Club for the first time.
really?
Yeah, it was at my friend's basement.
Fight Club, fuck.
Yeah.
5, 6, 7, 8.
There's no business like show business.
Mamma mia, here I go again. My
Of the music
All right, let's dive into this one. This will be
Waste
coming
no
out
time.
on November 1st in the US. So in case you got through spooky season and you're really wishing you could have had a couple more scaries, a couple more,
Spookies.
have we got a treat for you? Here at 5678, a movie musical podcast, we review and recap movie musicals starting in the 30s and up to modern day. And this week, special edition spooky season, we are doing Rocky Horror Picture Show, the film.
Yes. Now, Anna, had you seen this?
I have seen this.
Okay.
It has probably been about 8 years
Yeah.
since I've seen it.
I have a very
Maybe less, maybe
clear
more.
memory of the first time I watched it, which I was like
Mm.
12 or 13 with our Canadian friends, and like all of the kids went down to the basement to watch movies, and this was the movie that we watched, and feeling like, should I be watching this?
Yeah, this is our first movie with a mature
Yeah, it's rated
rating.
R for a reason.
I forgot about that until someone dropped an F-bomb and then there were nipples everywhere and I
Yes.
was like, oh,
Yeah.
oh boy. Yeah, I definitely did not see this until I was in college. I did not
Okay.
see it as an impressionable youth. I knew about it. Like, Rocky
Yeah,
Horror Picture
everyone
Show's
knows about
been in the zeitgeist since
Yeah.
75.
I feel like everyone could sing the time warp if forced.
Oh, good. I'm glad you brought that up. So we talked about this in the last episode, but I ended up cutting it for time, and also I was like, we're going to talk about it later. Dear listeners, intrepid heroes, I've been singing the time warp to myself multiple times a day for the last probably 6 weeks, and you want to know why? Because it's still COVID times here and everywhere, and you should be washing your hands for at least 20 seconds. It has to do with the soap breaking down the molecular walls of the germs. Do it for 20 seconds. And you know what's a perfect 20 seconds? The chorus of Time Warp from It's Just a Jump to the Left all the way through Let's Do the Time Warp again,
Yeah.
if you take the time to also do the choreography, which you kind of have to.
I mean, it's a
So I'm
part of
just
the
saying-
lyrics. You must dance along.
You must. You're welcome.
You're welcome.
Listen, we care about hygiene just as much as we care about musicals.
Indeed. Should we begin this?
I don't even know how to begin this. I'm trying, like, of all the movies we've done, I think this probably stands the best chance as being the one the most of our listeners will have already seen or will
Probably.
be familiar with.
Yes.
All right. This
All
is
right.
Rocky Horror Picture Show.
We begin with a close-up on some lips, and everything else is blacked out, so all you see are the lips and the teeth. They start singing the song Science Fiction Double Feature, and it goes through the cast, and hot damn, what a cast this
What
is.
a cast.
Oh, man.
I would like to say, so you have, for example, Tim Curry.
Yes.
And then there was the character name and then like a little descriptor. So like Susan Sarandon, Janet, semicolon.
heroine.
A heroine. Yeah.
Yes.
Just to make the archetypes clearer.
Absolutely. It's
It's
very
so
archetypal.
campy. I
This
love
entire movie is just like both a love letter and a spoof to like classic sci-fi horror movies. And it's
And
just,
B movies
and B
specifically.
movies. And it's just a delight from start to finish.
This song makes me think of. This is the hard part about this movie is that the lyrics of most of the songs don't really make any sense.
I know. Until
It's
the
a
last
science
30
fiction-
minutes, and then it turns into an operetta where everything is sung.
Yeah, you're right. Long story short, this song always makes me think of We Didn't Start the Fire, where it's just like listing historically relevant events
Yes,
or people.
that tracks. So this song happens. It's great. We cut to a church. Someone has been married.
Rice is being thrown.
I don't know if you noticed, but in the background, Tim Curry
Oh,
was
I
the
noticed.
priest. And
Yes, and Riff Raff and Magenta are there too.
and Riff Raff and Magenta are basically, what is it, the American Gothic people?
Yeah, American Gothic.
Yeah.
Makes no sense.
No sense.
We're getting way ahead of ourselves. The bride and groom come down the stairs.
Yes.
Everyone follows them. They're throwing rice. We do see through the wedding photographer's point of view that Tim Curry is not as his character that he will be for the rest of this film. He's dressed as a priest, a very somber priest. And our two supporting characters, Magenta and Riff Raff, are dressed as the classic painting American Gothic.
Yes. Do you know why they did this?
No! Why?
Because they wanted this movie to be like a very dark and creepy version of The Wizard of Oz. So you know how in The Wizard of Oz, all of the characters in Oz are people from her life. So like the witch is Gulch, and like Auntie M is like Glinda, and like all of the people from her normal life are the characters in Oz, and they're played by the same actors.
Wow.
And so
I don't think I knew that.
that's what they wanted to do for this, was to make it like a dark and creepy version of The Wizard of Oz.
Well, they succeeded.
100%, but that's why they're in that scene, weirdly, with like no explanation.
Bonkers.
Yes. Anyway, so the groom takes aside his best man and is like, oh, we did it. And right at that moment, the bride goes to throw her bouquet, and who catches it but Susan Sarandon? And the groom turns to the best man and is like, oh, it could be your turn next. So apparently this guy and Susan Sarandon are a couple.
Yeah, the guy is named Brad. Susan Sarandon's character is named Janet. This scene's just a lot of exposition.
The bride and groom get into a car and they drive off, and Brad and Janet are left at the church alone.
And Janet is kind of mooning over the happiness of the wedding and looks kind of expectantly at Brad, and Brad isn't as excited. They have a conversation, or just like fail at having a conversation, as they walk through a graveyard. Suddenly, thunderclap, and he starts to sing the song, Damn It, Janet. Why is he, this song, okay.
What's your question?
The lyrics are that he loves her. He's literally running away from her and defacing church property. And then he gets down on one knee and proposes during this song. They're just chasing each other.
Yep.
The lyrics and the actions were not matching.
That happens a lot, doesn't it? I love this next moment, though, because it's so petty, because she's just been talking about how amazing the wedding was and how Betty, the bride, looked radiant, and then she gets proposed to, and then her first line is, well, it's nicer than Betty Monroe had.
This song ends, they've gone into the church, and they start to sing, and then...
Yes. They say that they are going to go and see the guy who got them together in the first
place. At this point, there's only one person to see now. The science teacher that brought us together. This is such a visually specific movie that I want to make sure that we take the time, however long this episode is going to be, to paint the picture in so Brad and Janet are very all-American cornfields and whole milk.
Oklahoma.
Yeah.
Like the musical Oklahoma, not necessarily
the state. Yeah. Suddenly, we are taken outside of the church to a completely new setting of this, not sure if this is the right word, of omniscient, but narrator, who is...
Criminologist.
Well, yes, but he serves as the narrator.
Yes.
I'm questioning whether omniscient was the right word or not. But he is watching a slideshow of the wedding photos.
Yeah. It's like a case file book,
yeah.
Basically. So he has this case file on, what is it called? It's like the Denton affair?
Yeah, the Denton affair.
Because they went to Denton High and they're like from Denton.
Yeah. He is watching a slideshow of the wedding photos that the wedding photographer took, and he turns to us and he tells us he's going to take us on a strange journey.
His voice is fabulous.
Oh, yeah.
One of my biggest moments of joy is that every single actor knew exactly what movie they were in, and he plays his part to a T. Like, his voice is exactly what you want it to be. It's amazing. He says that there were storm clouds on that fateful night, and that they were just two kids who didn't replace their tire, and they just drove out into the night, and...
Yeah, we cut next to Janet and Brad driving on a dark and stormy night through the woods. Yes. Brad has failed to fill up the spare tire with air.
And they're listening to Nixon resign.
Yeah, they are listening to Nixon resign on the radio. And the narrator tells us it was a night that they were going to remember for a very long time. So they're driving, and Janet sees a motorcycle go past, and she's like, that's like... the third motorcycle we've seen. And Brad's like, oh man, we've taken a wrong turn. They come to a dead end.
They go to a dead end, yeah.
And she's like, where did the fucking motorcycles come from? Janet's the voice of reason for a lot of this movie. Brad ignores her.
Yeah, and as they're backing up, they blow a tire, and Brad was like, oh, I should have gotten that spare tire fixed.
Brad does a
He
lot of, like,
says-
all-American, like, raising his fist in the air in this movie.
Yeah, or shaking his finger.
Yeah.
That happens a lot.
And, like, and the handshakes, like, going to grab someone's hand, that, like, whole body just, like, swings to the side. Where you're just like, how you doing?
How you doing, Brad Majors? So he says that he'll go for help at that castle that they
Yeah,
passed
we
a few
passed
miles
a
back.
castle a few
Remember that
turns
castle
back.
we passed? And so Janet is like, I'm going with you. You're not leaving me alone in this car. Good girl.
Good girl.
So they get to this castle.
They get to the gate of this castle, and there is a big
Yes.
sign that says, enter at your own risk, and they
Yeah.
ignore it.
Enter.
There's lightning, they walk up the drive, they approach the castle, we get our next song, Janet starts to sing. The song is, there's a light over at the Frankenstein place. Lots of dramatic zooms as they approach this castle, and they're stormy and it's lightning.
And there's like one light on up in like one of the turrets, basically. As they approach the castle, a crew of motorcyclists all drive past them. And in that one window, we see a creepy man singing along with them. This is Riff Raff.
Riff Raff is a white-haired, hunchbacked handyman dressed in black, very, very
Yes.
pale face, kind of long, scraggly hair. And he sings out the
Yeah.
window, like watching Brad and Janet approach.
They arrive at the castle, and she says that she's frightened, but Brad is like, well, they may have a phone. And so he rings the doorbell, and Riff Raff opens the door.
Looking so creepy. He's
So
like,
creepy.
hello.
Hello.
And Brad, again, all American enthusiasm, just, hey, how you doing?
Hi.
Brad Majors. Hey, can I walk you home? Hey, can I walk you home?
You beat me
Hey,
to
can I walk you
it.
home? Oh.
So
We have the same brain.
there are two brain cells, and we each have one.
Neither is enough to fully run the system.
Nope. So then one of the funniest moments happens. Brad introduces himself, he asks for help, and Riff Raff says, you're all wet. And Janet is like, yes, it's raining. It is like pouring rain
Yeah.
behind them. And then she just like looks at Brad like, what is happening? It was amazing. I laughed out loud.
Riff Raff says they should come inside. They go inside. You can hear a lot of laughter and talking
Music
as if like a
and-
large
yeah.
group, but you can't see them.
Yeah.
We are taken into this ornate foyer with a tall wooden staircase, but it's lots of cobwebs, very dusty, lots of weird decor. Janet says, rightfully so, what kind of place is this? And Brad says,
It's probably a hunting lodge for rich weirdos. Great.
Riff Raff fully has blood on his vest.
Yes.
Like neither of them
Absolutely.
are bothered. Janet's like, oh, are you having a party? And Riff Raff says, yes, it's a special night, one of the master's affairs. And Janet's like,
Yes.
oh, lucky him.
And then Magenta appears. Magenta is in like a maid's outfit with the wildest, frizziest red hair.
Mm-hmm. She's been leaning on the stairs, but she perks up when Janet says lucky him, and she, very kind of deranged, goes like, he's lucky, you're lucky, we're all lucky, and she slides down the banister and cackles like a crazy person.
She is like if I had to choose a role to play, I would want to play Magenta so goddamn bad.
A clock chimes that is shaped like a casket. Riff Raff opens it to reveal a skeleton,
Yep.
and we get the song, The Time Warp.
Woohoo!
Oh god, Brad and Janet are like, get me the fuck out of here. Riff Raff and Magenta are chasing them.
Instead of running back to the front door, they run further into the house and they enter into what is the party room. So all of these guests who are on the motorcycles are in fabulous suits and party hats, and they are all singing The Time Warp as well. Cut to the criminologist.
Wait. And there's a banner in the background that says Annual Transylvania Convention. But yes, then we quick cut back to the criminologist who pulls down a slide.
An explanation slide?
Yeah, it's like when you pull down a map or like a
Yeah.
backdrop or whatever.
I thought of Kronk being like, by all accounts, it doesn't make sense. Like,
Yeah, 100% like that. And it's dance steps, and the criminologist is explaining how to do the time warp, and he says it's just a
course.
jump to the left,
and then we cut back to the party.
and then everyone's just like dancing their hearts out. And I step to
Yes.
the right. Janet fully faints. Fair.
Oh, yeah. And so then Magenta and Riff Raff sing the next chorus together, and it's all very, like, creepy and sexual and kind of enticing, but weird, and, like, what is going on?
Riff Raff's singing voice is so remarkably different from his speaking voice. Like, he's got a great rock skrelt, but then the voice of this character is very, like, in the back of the throat.
Hello.
And very creepy.
We also get introduced to Columbia, who is in a full gold sequined outfit, and she has a tap break, which is okay.
Okay. If she's supposed to be a tapper, like she's got tap shoes on, they make a big deal out of showing her tapping, but they're not showing her feet. What is the point? Unless just the character in the original show was a great tap dancer, and they were like, we can't get rid of the tap sequence, but this actress can't tap?
Yeah, I don't know. But the tap break is fine.
Yeah. Columbia is described as a groupie. Don't know what that means.
So at this point, Janet and Brad try to escape, but the song ends and everyone sort of collapses to the floor.
As you do. And Brad is like, I still need a telephone. Meanwhile...
and so everyone just sort of like...
because Brad and Janet think they're staring at them, but it's because they've opened the doors to go back out into the main lobby.
They're backing out.
And so they can't see the elevator coming down behind them. And it's an old-timey elevator where it's just grates. It's not encased. So we see Tim Curry's character coming down in the elevator in a full, like, body-concealing cape.
Yeah.
But, like, black hair, red lipstick, eyeshadow that goes from, like, the corners of his eyes all the way up to his eyebrows.
Yeah, fabulous heels.
Janet turns around and fully faints again, screaming.
Screams. And he turns around and it is Tim Curry. And he begins to sing the song Sweet Transvestite. And man, this is another moment of joy. This entire song. He eats this up. This is Dr. Frank Infurter. Yes.
Like Frank, middle initial N, Furter. The cape comes off. He is wearing platform sequined black heels, fishnets, black bikini bottom.
Like thigh-high fishnets, not like all the way up. So he also has like the garter belt sort of deal and a corset.
And pearl necklace.
Yes.
And looks phenomenal. Eats this song up.
So at one point during the song, Brad asks again to use his phone, and Frank offers to let them stay for the night so he can show them what he's celebrating and what he's created. And so the song ends. Riff Raff and Magenta undress Brad and Janet, and Janet starts to protest, but Brad is like, just play along for now. And they fully undress them to their underwear. So Brad is just in like tighty whities, and Janet is in like a bra and a slip.
And Columbia tells him it's an honor to be invited up to Dr. Furter's lab.
Exactly.
So Brad and Janet in their underwear, Columbia, Magenta, and Riff Raff all go up in the elevator.
Janet asks if Frank is married.
And Riff Raff says, the master isn't married and probably won't. We are his servants.
Cut up to the lab. Frank is there. Great.
It is not a sterile white lab. It's pink.
No, it's
the
pink.
whole thing is pink tile.
Frank is there in like a green lab coat.
Like a surgeon's scrubs, but... And the people that were downstairs, the conference people, are now up, and they're on like a second...
Observatory
a
balcony.
raised... Yeah, kind of like in
a surgery theater?
Yeah. There's a lot of direct into camera eye contact from Frank. And it, again, just using
every time
the camera so well.
Do you want to see Alan Cumming in this role? Because I want to see Alan Cumming in this role.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah.
So much. Hell yeah.
Yeah, right? Anyway.
Frank gives Brad and Janet some lab coats so they don't feel quite so exposed.
Yes.
And
he
Brad gets
flirts
a little
with both of them.
Yeah, and Brad gets a little fisticuffs when Frank says that he's being hospitable. He's like, "You took our clothes, and we just wanted to use your phone."
It's like, oh, how forceful you are, Brad.
Yeah.
But Janet is kind of giggly whenever Frank flirts with her. Mm-hmm. Like, he kisses her hand and says, "Enchanté," and she just, like, giggles. Then Riff Raff comes over and says that everything is ready. We just await your word. This is going to be a lot of quoting exactly what people
Apologies,
said,
but I'm not sorry.
So sorry.
This is an audio drama, this episode. We're just recreating.
We just read the script back to you.
Mm-hmm.
So then Frank goes and gives a speech about what he has created, which turns out to be life itself. Everyone applauds.
including Janet, who is fully entranced.
Tonight is the night his creature will be born. So Columbia and Magenta pull a cloth and reveal underneath a tank with what looks like a mummy inside. So it's obviously a body just like fully wrapped in gauze.
And Frank orders Riff Raff to throw the switches, which are just a bunch of
Levers.
the whole side of this lab has just like a bunch of different levels. Pull the lever, crunk! And Riff Raff throws the switch. It's very bright. A machine from the top of the lab lowers down to hover above the water. Janet is frightened. Brad tells her it's going to be all right. And Frank goes up to the machine and twists a bunch of levers that drop different colored water into the tank, and the water swirls in the tank and it turns into a rainbow. The whirring intensifies and it's alive!
Yes, the mummy starts to move and lifts himself out of the tank, and Riff Raff removes the face coverings and reveals Rocky.
Oh, Rocky.
So Rocky is blonde-haired, blue-eyed, and muscled.
Muscled and in a gold lame Speedo.
Well, he's not fully revealed just yet,
Oh,
but yes,
sorry,
that is
you're
what
right.
he's wearing.
I got ahead of myself.
At that point, the contraption with all of the colored things starts to rise back up, but Rocky's holding on to it, so he is lifted up, and he starts to sing the Sword of Damocles. Frank goes over to Riff Raff and like forces him to lower Rocky back down, and Magenta and Columbia remove the rest of his bandages to reveal those golden shorts.
Yeah.
Classic.
And Rocky has just been born, and Frank is not cool about it. Frank is like chasing him around, but Rocky does not want to be held.
My god, chasing him around, lifting up the thing. Like
Rocky's running around, he's so buff and tan and in this gold Speedo being chased by Frankenfurter, who's in platform heels. It's wild, and the spectators are singing the chorus.
And so it ends back at the tank.
Yeah, ultimately Rocky gets back to the tank, and Frank's like, "You're being very naughty."
Yes. At that point, Magenta and Riff Raff compliment Frank on his success. Frank brings Rocky over to Brad and Janet and asks what they think. And Janet, oh, poor girl, she looks direct at Brad and is like, "Well, I don't like a man with too many muscles."
And Frank yells at her, being like, "I didn't make him for you." He then takes Rocky over to a gift that he has for him, which is just a weight rack. And
that looks like candy canes.
Just like lots of dumbbells. And Frank starts to sing the song, "I Can Make You a Man." Everyone's got great physicality. This movie, Rocky is walking around like he was literally born today. He's walking around like a little kid. Just like very top heavy.
Yes.
The gist of the song is that Frank has 7 days to make Rocky a man. So he presents him these dumbbells and he presents him like a gymnastics beam horse thing. Yeah.
This song is like just hypersexualization of him. Like someone pours oil all over him. He like is doing push-ups and like showing his muscles and all of that. So the song ends with them right beside this big door.
Like a garage door or like a giant vault door.
And suddenly an alarm goes off, like the deep freeze alarm, and the door like sort of falls out and almost hits them. And Columbia screams, "Eddie!"
And everyone else freaks the fuck out.
Everyone is panicking. And a guy on a motorcycle drives out of the freezer, and it is Meatloaf.
With a saxophone, and he's covered in frost, like he is coming out of deep freeze. And it's Meatloaf playing the character of Eddie, who just immediately bursts into song with the song Hot Patootie hyphen Bless My Soul.
Bless My Soul.
I love this song.
Love this song. It is like probably my second favorite song.
Oh, what's your first?
Transvestite.
Oh, see, I have, for some reason, and I can cut this out, I've always loved Rose Tint My World. I like how chaotic it is.
I never quite got into that one because it feels like the entire last 30 minutes is just one long song that keeps changing tempo, and so I've never really been able to like pull out a section of it.
That's fair, but Hot Patootie is...
I love Hot Patootie.
This gist of the song is that Eddie dances around with Columbia and he rocks on his saxophone solo.
Yeah. And there's obviously been a relationship with Columbia and Eddie.
Frank watches this and he watches everyone enjoy themselves dancing, and he's mad that he's not the center of attention, and he's mad that Eddie's stolen his center. So he takes Rocky, he shuts him in the elevator, and he closes the gate, and then he chases Eddie, who is on his motorbike,
Yeah.
chases him around the room until he ultimately chases him into the deep freezer again, comes after him with an ice pick, and straight up
like a pickaxe.
murders him.
Big ol', like, chopping at him with an ice pickaxe, and comes out of the freezer just,
Covered
like,
in blood.
covered in blood. Wild.
Columbia screams, and Rocky is pounding on the gate of the elevator, and Frank lets him out and he comforts him, and we get a little reprise of I can make a man out of you is what I almost said. I can make you a man.
So at that point, Riff Raff and Magenta sort of remove the green lab coat, and at one point, as Frank is singing the song, Janet interrupts and is like, I'm a muscle fan! And Brad just, like, shoots her along. Frank finishes the song, Magenta pulls a curtain aside and reveals this giant bed chamber that's very gothic looking.
With R and F embroidered pillows.
Yeah.
Frank and Rocky. And Frank leads Rocky into the bedroom, guests throw confetti on them, and as the curtains close, Frank jumps into Rocky's arms.
Cut to the criminologist.
Back to our criminologist. Is the criminologist the waiter of this movie?
Maybe! I was about to say we don't have any goons, gangsters, or waiters in this, but I might be convinced that the criminologist. But so basically every time we get to the criminologist, he like slightly recaps what just happens and gives like a slight teaser for what's going on next. So he
That's a really good way of
recaps,
saying it.
and then he explains that the other party guests leave and Brad and Janet are shown to separate rooms.
And there are security cameras, like CCTV
Yes.
cameras, and so Riff Raff and Magenta are watching.
Everyone.
Everyone's
basically,
watching. Janet's room is totally red. Brad's room is identical.
but totally blue.
In the night, Brad comes to visit Janet, but just kidding.
Yes.
It's Frank in a Brad wig.
Brad wig.
And Janet resists him at first.
Because they had started kissing whenever she thought it was Brad, and then, like, reveals the wig and, like, is like, oh, I've never, and I was, like, cheated or kissed or done what? Like,
She definitely implies that she was saving herself for marriage.
but then Frank starts kissing down her body, and she's like, oh, these are new feelings, but, like, stops him. And, no, there was one line that we missed where she asks, what have you done with Brad? And he responds, nothing. Do you think I should? So she asks, promise Brad will never know, and he says, cross my heart, and so then they get back into bed together.
Back to the lab. Rocky is asleep in the bed. Riff Raff kind of like gives Magenta a mischievous look, and he walks over to Rocky, wakes him up, and taunts him with this lit candelabra that's got like 25 candles on it. Rocky is just born, afraid of fire. He is
100%.
shackled to the bed, but he, out of fear, is able to break his chain, and he escapes down the elevator shaft. Riff Raff and Magenta look pleased
Start
with themselves and start
necking?
making out. Yeah.
Which, not great.
We don't know why
And-
that's not great yet, though.
Yeah, but just keep that in your mind, and we'll discuss
Post-it
it
note
later.
That's questionable.
Cut to Brad's room.
Frank does the exact same thing to Brad that he did to Janet. Literally the same dialogue of,
Yeah, it's like,
Oh.
what have you done with Janet? Nothing. Do you
Nothing.
think I
Do
should?
you think I should?
I did laugh.
and the promise Janet will never know. Frank
Yeah,
seduces
and
him.
it's like very obvious that Frank starts to blow him, and he has never
Oh.
received a blowjob before. Like, his legs just go straight up.
Straight up. Like, oh, reminder, this is our first mature rated film.
Yeah.
It's gonna get worse.
I know, it's so funny because Anna texted me at this point being like, oh, where are you? And I was like, Frank is fucking everyone. Like,
Just then, over the security camera, Riff Raff makes an announcement and tells Frank that Rocky has escaped into the castle and Magenta has just released the dogs.
then we get a quick shot of Janet just like crying and asking where Brad is and what's going on. And then
Yeah.
another cut to Rocky running away from dogs outside in the rain. Poor guy.
Janet goes up to the lab and she's very... This is just like B-movie. She's just like, oh, if only I hadn't done this. If only I hadn't done that.
If only we were among friends, or at least sane persons.
She finds a TV on that wall of levers in Frank's lab, and she like presses a button and sees the security camera of Brad and Frank in Brad's bedroom, clearly post-coital. And she goes, Brad, how could you?
She starts crying, and then she hears...
Brad is smoking a cigarette.
Yeah. And, like, Frank is just lying back with his hands behind his head. It's just so great.
So funny.
So she hears crying, And she goes back to that tank and lifts up the cloth, and Rocky is there, and he's all sort of dirty and beat up. And, she rips off a piece of her slip and wraps it around his hand, and then, they start holding hands and smiling at each other. And she looks at the screen where Brad and Frank are and just sort of smirks.
Cut very quickly to another room. Magenta and Columbia are watching this scene unfolding with Janet and Rocky. Like they're watching
it's like a sleepover.
Yeah.
Like they're in their PJs and
Columbia's painting Magenta's nails.
It's great. So then Janet starts to sing the song Touch Me.
Touch it, touch it, touch it, touch me.
Touch me. I wanna be dirty.
She sings it to Rocky, and Rocky isn't into it at first, but then gets into it. And they fully have sex in his tank.
Yes.
Which is not a sentence I thought I was going to be saying today, but...
and yet
here we are.
The song ends. Frank, Brad, and Riff Raff come up the elevator, and Frank is whipping Riff Raff for letting Rocky escape. And he tells him, go and find Rocky on the monitor. So Riff Raff goes and sees that they have a visitor at the front door. So they go over to see who it is, and surprise, Brad says that's Dr. Scott, the guy that we were going to try and see earlier, at the beginning of this movie.
And Riff Raff responds, you know this Earthling? Person, which is our first clue that
first hint.
Maybe things are not as they seem.
Exactly.
Riff Raff lets Dr. Scott in. Frank accuses Brad of lying of why he's there. Brad's like, what? That guy's just my high school science teacher. And Frank's like, no, he works for the FBI, specifically in the department investigating UFOs. And Brad's like, I don't know what?
What?
Dr. Scott is now in the building. He is in the Zen room. And Frank pulls another lever, fully summons the doctor's in a wheelchair.
For an electromagnet, yes.
Yeah.
We should mention Dr. Scott is in a wheelchair.
Yeah, he's like an older white man, gray hair, gray mustache, argyle sweater, blanket over his legs, in a wheelchair. Frank activates his giant magnet, and the doctor zooms through the house, through all of these different rooms. At one point goes into the room with Columbia and Magenta just to circle them and come
around
back.
them while they're reading magazines.
And fully arrives in the lab by bursting through a tiled wall. So he's covered in dust by the time he pulls up in front of Frank.
Yeah. So Brad goes to greet Dr. Scott and does the full big American handshake.
Dr. Scott, good to see you, Brad Majors.
Scott is like, what are you doing
Why
here?
Are you here?
At which point Frank is like, don't play games. You sent him here to learn the layout, but all the plans have changed now. And Dr. Scott is like, listen, I didn't know Brad would be here. I came here to find Eddie.
Because Eddie is my nephew.
Yes, he reveals that Eddie is his nephew. And then there's a gasp from the tank. So Frank goes over and reveals Rocky and Janet together, and then there's this little bit of everyone calling each other's names.
Oh my god, I love it. They're also naked, and they're holding a sheet over their bodies. But yeah, there's a short bit of everyone
Brad, Janet, Dr. Scott, Janet, Rocky.
Rocky doesn't respond because Rocky doesn't
I know.
talk. It's ridiculous.
It's so funny.
Just then, Frank threatens Rocky. He goes, I made you and I can break you just as easily. But he's interrupted by Magenta with a gong.
This is
dinner.
This is why I want to be Magenta. I just want to bang a gong and announce dinner.
We briefly
She's
cut
fabulous.
to the criminologist about the food. I don't remember what he says. I think it was just
he says this was not a friendly meal or something.
Thank you. It is. It is not good. It is an awkward meal. Everyone sits. No one is talking.
Magenta and Riff Raff bring in some food, and it's like a giant hunk of meat that Riff Raff just plops in front of Frank. And Magenta gives him an electric knife.
Frank saws through this ham. Riff Raff and Magenta take the slices of meat around, just plop, singular slices of meat onto everyone's plate. Frank proposes a toast to absent friends and Rocky, and he sings happy birthday to Rocky.
But as soon as other people join into the singing, he immediately stops singing and sits down. It's so funny. So the song is half.
So the people sitting at this table are Brad, Janet, Dr. Scott, Rocky, Columbia, and then Frank is at the head of the table, flanked, who are not sitting, but are just standing by Magenta and Riff Raff. So Dr. Scott says, I came here to discuss Eddie. And Columbia, who was Eddie's person, I don't know,
yeah.
goes, Eddie! And Frank threatens her with the electric
Worse than
saw.
knife.
And she starts sobbing and runs out of the room.
Then, well, she runs out after Frank says, "That's a rather tender subject. Another slice, anyone?" At which point, Columbia, Brad, and Janet realize what has happened and put down their forks. And Columbia leaves the room and we hear her wailing. Rocky is still just munching away despite the implication.
Yeah, so just for clarity's sake, we are implying that this hunk of meat is Eddie. Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. I wasn't
Yeah,
sure.
Yeah, that is definitely the implication.
At this point, Dr. Scott turns directly into camera and he says, I knew Eddie was in with a bad crowd, but it was worse than I thought. Aliens.
Aliens. And I
Brad
just feel
and
like
Janet-
the aliens guy just like,
Yeah, just aliens. And Brad and Janet do that with, like, aliens?
yeah, exactly.
And
Then Dr. Scott starts to sing the song.
Wait.
Oh,
Yes,
sorry.
but Frank says, go on, Dr. Scott, or should I say, Dr. Von Scott. And Brad gets all, like, barrel chesty, like, what are you implying? Like, is he
then
implying that
Dr.
he's a
Scott-
Soviet spy? I don't understand.
I guess. Or like a German, like, scientist or something.
Something that he's not, like, all American, yada, yada,
Right,
yada.
exactly. And it's so funny because at that point, Dr. Scott has a very slight accent where he was like, sit down, Brad. Like, it's the whole deal.
I mean, he's had an accent since he got to the house. I think he's always
Yeah,
had
but
an
it gets a
accent.
little bit thicker. Then he starts to sing the song Eddie, which gives a little bit of backstory about who Eddie was and how he was always a sort of a troublemaker. But during this song, he reveals that Eddie had sent him a note warning him to hurry to help him or he may die soon.
At the end of this song, Frank grabs the tablecloth, rips it off the table to reveal they haven't been eating on a table. They've been eating on a coffin with a glass front, and we see Eddie's body just, like, totally chewed up, partly from the murder and maybe partly because they chopped up some of him to eat. Janet screams and runs into Rocky's arms.
Yes, now Frank is furious about this and slaps Janet and then starts to chase her because Janet runs away from that, obviously, and he starts to sing, "You better wise up, Janet Wise."
Brad at some point lost his glasses, but needs to chase after Janet to save her, so he's pushing Dr. Scott in his wheelchair, cannot see where he is going.
Nope. But they end up into the elevator, but Janet is running, like, up the stairs, and Frank is grabbing her and harassing her and basically insulting her, saying that she's, like, frigid and, like, stuck up like a pencil, and eventually escapes into the lab, with Frank still pursuing her and angrily singing at her. Brad and Scott go after her and arrive from the elevator.
Frank captures Janet, Dr. Scott, and Brad
Sonic Transducer.
on the transducer, so he flips a switch and on that big wall of switches, and suddenly, like, their feet are stuck to the floor. They cannot move. They cannot escape. Then Magenta's on another switch.
Oh, wait, hold on. We'll get there, because we're not quite there yet. Because basically they explain a little bit about this tech, and Dr. Scott reveals that the government has been working on this tech too, and it's basically a teleport device that works through space and maybe even time. But everyone's stuck to the floor. Frank starts harassing Janet, and she yells for him to stop, and the song sort of morphs into Planet Hot Dog, which the lyric is basically Brad sings, "You're a hot dog, but you better not try and hurt her, Frank Furter." Peak 10 out of 10 puns. I love it all.
Nope.
Nope.
No complaints. I will take no gripes. We haven't had any gripes yet, have we?
My gripe is not a real gripe. I love this movie.
Okay. Was it the tap dancing? I'll call the tap dancing a gripe.
No, it was that we don't get enough Eddie. I thought Meatloaf was fantastic, and we only had one scene of him.
Truly.
So it's at this point, as you were saying, Magenta uses a machine. And what does this machine say?
It's called the Medusa machine?
Yeah, the Medusa Fire.
Medusa Fire, and it essentially turns Brad, Dr. Scott, and Janet into naked statue versions of themselves.
Yes. At this point, Columbia also comes out and says that she can't stand it anymore. Apparently, she and Frank used to be a thing, but then Frank threw her aside for Eddie and then threw Eddie aside for Rocky. And she calls him out on not being a good partner, and he signals to Magenta and turns her into a statue too. And then he also turns Rocky into a statue.
Frank is obviously upset.
Yes.
But then Magenta kind of comes out of nowhere and screams at him that she's tired of this world and wants to know when they'll return to Transylvania. It's then revealed that Riff Raff and Magenta are siblings.
Yep, brother and sister.
But have been making out a lot in this movie.
Oop.
Frank gets into the lift and he says that they're ready for the floor show.
Cut to the criminologist. He sums up what's happened so far and then wonders what the floor show could be. And then we cut to the floor show.
So we're in an auditorium behind the curtain
proscenium.
on stage. Yeah, we see Frank dressing up the plaster statues of Columbia, Rocky, Dr. Scott, Brad, and Janet, how he was dressed in the first appearance in the corset with the fishnets and the high heels.
Yes, and a boa.
And a boa. And this is when we get the chords of Rose Tint My World.
Yes.
The front curtains open. All 5 statues are on stage. One by one, they are de-Medusified.
The only one who's not on stage is Dr. Scott, who's off stage.
Yes, Columbia's de-Medusified first, then Rocky. They each have a verse of the song. Brad is de-Medusified next, and they are all in like a dreamlike state.
Yeah, and both Brad and Janet, their choruses, they're both saying how much this has sort of freed them sexually and how they feel like a lot more comfortable, especially Janet, but also Brad, just like him being in the heels and the corset. He's like, I didn't know what this would feel like, but then he starts feeling himself, does a whole leg lift, like he's kind of into it. Then the scrim rises and they reveal Frank at the bottom of an old RKO radio tower. So like the RKO movies that always had that opening radio tower is what it looks like. It's like in black and white. And he starts to sing, "Don't dream it, be it."
It is revealed there's a pool on stage. Yeah. Frank jumps into the pool. The floor of the pool is painted as Michelangelo's creation of Adam.
Yes.
Frank floats in an inner tube while singing.
The inner tube says SS Titanic on it.
And then our 4 de-Medusified friends, all dressed as Frank's first outfit, jump into the pool. They sing the chorus, and it's just a big pool orgy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Love a pool orgy. Just then, Dr. Scott accidentally gets unmedusified.
Yeah, like the switch freaks out and de-Medusifies Dr. Scott.
Yeah.
Who discovers that he's in fishnets.
Well, at first he's like, because he's the only one that sort of looks still normal, and he says, we all have to get out of here before we can never leave, and he has to hold on before his mind snaps, and then suddenly his legs start to shake, and one of his legs raises, and turns out that he is in fishnets and heels as well.
Unclear if his legs have worked the whole time, or
I
somehow...
don't think so. I think this somehow, cured his legs. I don't know. He never really gets out of the wheelchair.
No, he doesn't.
Suddenly, the song tempo changes and shifts, and Frank starts singing the song Wild and Untamed Thing.
He bursts out of the water.
And the gang joins along, and this is when we get the classic kick line of the 6 of them doing the 1, 2, 3 kick, everyone in the fishnets and heels, all soaking wet.
It's very, very frenetic energy that is building to this great peak. Just then, at the back of the auditorium, Riff Raff and Magenta burst through the doors. Riff Raff has an alien trident gun, laser thing, and they are both in their alien garb. Their hair has changed.
Magenta's hair is full Bride of Frankenstein.
And Riff Raff declares that Frankenfurter's mission was a failure.
Look at me.
Riff Raff...
I am the commander now.
I'm the captain now. Riff Raff is the new commander. Frank is prisoner, and Magenta is preparing the transit beam to take them home.
Yes. And Frank asks them to wait, that he can explain, so he sends off Rocky and Columbia, who get the lights ready and set them on Frank, and then he starts to sing the song, I'm Going Home, which is the big 11 o'clock number, and it is fabulous. God, Tim Curry is so
crying
good.
While he's singing.
God, it's so good. And I'm like, why does no one do this song for auditions? This is a fabulous song. Like, even if you can take it out of context, and it's just a genuinely good song.
Regardless, Magenta and Riff Raff are unimpressed.
Yes, so Frank imagines seeing, like, the seats in the house are filled, and, like, he imagines applause, and then Magenta cuts through his fantasy.
Riff Raff approaches Frank and says, there seems to be a miscommunication. Only Magenta and I are returning home to Transylvania. Yes. He's going to kill Frank. Columbia at this point screams, and Riff Raff shoots her with his laser gun. She fully dies.
Then Frank tries to escape by climbing the scrim, but Riff Raff shoots him, and so he falls and dies.
He doesn't die from his fall. He is killed by the laser gun.
Yes.
Then he falls. The curtain falls on top of him. At this point, Rocky is back on stage. He screams and grabs at Frank's body. He picks him up. Riff Raff shoots him, but the beams somehow bounce off Rocky's body, and
he's too strong.
Rocky climbs up the radio tower, very a la King Kong.
Oh, yeah.
But just then,
The set
the
piece
radio
falls.
tower falls back. They both fall into the pool, and Rocky is killed as well.
Yeah. Magenta turns to Riff Raff and is just like, but I thought you liked them. They liked you. And Riff Raff yells, no, nobody liked me.
He's crying.
Yeah.
Screaming.
It's
They
very
never liked
intense.
me. Yeah. It comes out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Because Riff Raff has been very cool, calm, and collected this whole time.
Yeah. Dr. Scott speaks up at this point and is like, you did the right thing. And Riff Raff turned to Dr. Scott and is like, I'm sorry about your nephew. You should all leave because this entire house is about to be beamed back to our home world. So Janet, Brad, and Scott all leave.
All still in their fishnets. Magenta and Riff Raff, they talk to each other and they're saying they're looking forward to going back to the planet transsexual and their worlds will do the time warp again.
Dance to the dark
Brad.
music, and there's like a little bit of a reprise.
Brad, Janet, and Dr. Scott are able to escape just as the house takes off into space. We see the three of them flattened on the ground from like the force of this house being taken off.
Leaving?
They survive. Yeah.
And then cut to the criminologist, and he sort of just wraps it up with a cryptic remark, and then...
Yeah, he says, human race is lost in meaning.
Uh-huh.
And then roll credits.
Yeah! The end!
Fucking wild.
Yeah, like the last 20 minutes is consistently the most insane bit, because it's almost entirely sung. There's very few spoken lines. And so it turns basically into an operetta. But yeah, that's the end. Love it. 10 out of 10.
Is it too early to start drinking there?
Nope, it is 10 afternoon.
Kind of want to have a drink for dramaturgy.
That's fine, we can do that.
I don't know what you have planned for your day.
I'm making enchiladas.
Oh, heck yeah. We are proposing drinks for dramaturgy now.
I support this entirely.
For us and also for you, dear listener.
Go
Like,
pour
treat
yourself a glass of wine.
to our dramaturgy. Yeah. I don't care what time zone you're in. I say you can drink now. Should you be so inspired to, especially after listening to this movie.
And if you don't drink, grab a glass of water. Hydrate.
Yeah. Some juice. Some tea.
Get those electrolytes.
Coffee.
Caffeine.
Oh my gosh, what did you think of this movie?
I loved the chaotic energy of this movie.
Oh.
This is my entire brand of chaos.
Can confirm.
It was remarkably tonally coherent, given how insane the plot was, which is my biggest moment of joy. Like, my overarching moment of joy is how tonally consistent this movie was with its insanity.
Yeah, my moment of joy, and we can just do this now, is that everyone knew what movie they were in.
Absolutely. There was no one who was taking themselves too seriously. There was no one who wasn't committing fully to the camp.
You know who auditioned for Brad Majors and didn't get it? Steve Martin.
That was one of them, yep.
Oh, I'm sorry, did I take a fun fact?
No, it was just a part of my actors and casting.
Oh, okay.
I
But
know.
yeah, no, that was my biggest moment of joy, is that everyone knew what fucking movie they were in.
Yeah, same.
But also, can you imagine, we are at a bit of a disadvantage in that, like, we have grown up in a time, maybe not because you saw it when you were 12, but by the time I saw this movie for the first time,
you knew it.
I could recognize the characters and I knew of it. Imagine going into this movie not knowing what you were expecting.
Let me tell you, it was a shock.
You were also 12. Like,
Yeah,
there was another
very
layer
young.
on top of that.
Yeah, I know, and I remember actively thinking, should I be watching this? Like, I was that 13-year-old of just being like, I'm here with like a bunch of other teenagers in like the basement while the parents are just like having fun and having a party upstairs, and there's like 6 of us down here, and they're like, oh yeah, the kids go downstairs to watch a movie, and what we ended
go
up
put on
watching
a movie.
Exactly, and then what they put on was Rocky Horror Picture Show. Now, granted, some of them were like 16. I was on the younger end of like the group of kids that were hanging out. But yeah.
Those movies that are chosen in those circumstances when like the kids have a little bit of autonomy for the first time, I think are such fascinating choices. And I would love to talk about to other people of like, what were the movies that you saw either
That's how
that
I
you
saw
were like,
Fight Club for the first time.
Really?
Yeah, it was at my
That's how I've
friend's
seen
basement.
most horror films, is that I was at like sleepovers and other people wanted to watch them.
Yeah.
Or like they were just like, go put on a movie.
Yeah, exactly.
Fight Club. Fuck.
Yeah.
Again, it had probably been like 7-8 years since I had seen this movie as a full-ass adult. Never saw it as a child.
Yeah.
It was an exhausting movie to take notes in solely because it moves at such a fast pace.
Especially the last 30 minutes.
Yeah. Whereas like in other films, when a song has come on, I'm like, all right, cool. Like this song's going to talk about this one specific thing for like 3 to 4 minutes, and I can relax, I can catch up on my notes, I can have a sip of water. But no, the songs moved so quickly.
Yeah.
It was jam-packed, so the act of taking notes was difficult, but like it was a thoroughly enjoyable movie.
It felt like the pace of Dreamgirls, where things kept happening in the songs, and that the songs were
plot
not...
developments happen in the songs.
Yeah.
This is a true blue musical.
Yes, it is. Loved every minute.
Love to see it.
All right. Shall we do dramaturgy?
Let me take a sip of my wine.
Yes.
And do a little dramaturgy.
Cheers.
I opened this wine last night, and it is just okay.
This is my $13 bottle of rosé, and it is adequate.
Dramaturgy. Dramaturgy report. Dramaturgy report. I live for that electric guitar. This was directed by James David Sharman. He is an Australian director and writer for film and stage with more than 70 productions under his belt. He's mostly well known in Australia as a theater director from 1960s to present day, and he's best known internationally as directing the theatrical hit of Rocky Horror Show, the film adaptation Rocky Horror Picture Show, and then the film's follow-up Shock Treatment. He co-created the original Rocky Horror Show with Richard O'Brien, and he also co-wrote the screenplay for the film. This is fun. He was educated in Sydney, though his upbringing included time spent on Australian showgrounds, where his father ran a traveling sideshow founded by his father, Jimmy Sharman Sr., called Jimmy Sharman's Boxing Troupe. This brought our director into contact with the world of circus and traveling vaudeville, which ultimately led to his developing an interest in theater and theatrics.
That's so cool.
Right? This was, oh my god, I love this. The cinematographer was Peter Sushinsky. He's a British cinematographer and photographer. Among his best-known works as director of photography are Rocky Horror Picture Show, Empire Strikes Back, and Mars Attacks, as well as the later films of David Cronenberg.
That's fabulous. Okay, I have a lot.
Buckle up.
Here we go. So the writer, known professionally as Richard O'Brien, he's an English New Zealand actor, writer, musician, and television presenter. He wrote the musical stage show, The Rocky Horror Show, in 1973, which has remained in almost continuous production since then. He also co-wrote the screenplay of the film adaptation, Rocky Horror Picture Show, and appeared in the film as Riff Raff. So the writer is Riff Raff. The film was an international success and has a huge cult following. After a long and successful career based in the UK, O'Brien gained dual citizenship with New Zealand in 2011, where he lives in Taronga. And also, he identifies as third sex, which is also interesting given the themes of transsexual and transvestitism within the show. Now, I'm going to talk a little bit about the stage musical, which came out a few years before the movie. So, in the early 1970s, Richard O'Brien wrote The Rocky Horror Show because he was an out-of-work actor in London, and it just sort of kept him busy in the evenings. He always had a passion for science fiction and horror movies, and he wanted to combine elements of unintentional humor of B horror movies and like rock and roll and like muscle films all into one. Like just everything that you love into one big thing. And so he created the Rocky Horror Show. Now, he conceived and wrote the play set against the backdrop of the glam era that had manifested itself throughout British pop culture in the early 70s, and he has stated that glam rock allowed me to be myself more, and it allows his concept to sort of come into being. As the musical went into rehearsal, the working title for it was They Came from Denton High, hence why the criminologist thing was called The Denton Affair, but it was changed just before previews as a suggestion of the director to the Rocky Horror Show. Now, apparently, Richard O'Brien stated that when he was writing the stage play, he actually envisioned himself playing Eddie, but the director thought that he would be a better fit for Riff Raff.
So he's always been Riff Raff.
He's always been Riff Raff. And in fact, there's a reason, I'll talk about this during actors and casting, about the actors that came from the stage show to the movie. Now, the time warp was originally written to fill time in the stage version, because the original production was only 40 minutes long. They're like, we gotta fill some space here, so they made the time warp. Now, in the original stage production, Dr. Everett Scott and Eddie were played by the same actor, which has become sort of the custom for the subsequent productions. And Meatloaf apparently was very disappointed to learn that in the movie he would not be playing Dr. Everett Scott. He was very upset, and I wish that they had, because I thought Meatloaf was fantastic in this movie, and I could have used more of him.
Justice for Meatloaf. The
original play also featured extra verses for Over at the Frankenstein Place and The Sword of Damocles. The versions were left out of the movie. The Broadway production of the Rocky Horror Show, which did star Tim Curry, opened at the Belasco Theater in New York City on March 10th, 1975. It ran for 45 performances and then closed in April 1975, though it was revived in 2001. So, beyond its cult status, the Rocky Horror Show is also widely hailed, alongside other experimental theater works such as Hair, to have been an influence on the countercultural and sexual liberation movements that followed on from the 1960s. As a result, the show received a mauling from the New York-based critic Rex Reed, who said the production was only for homosexuals. However, O'Brien stated that it rather is a celebration of difference that allows marginalized communities to gather and coexist together. Unlike Reed, other critics would suggest that though many people might laugh at the notion, Rocky Horror is in many ways a serious musical and a serious social document, which I fully agree with.
Agreed. It's in, I mean, I'll talk about this later, but it was selected for preservation in the United States National Film Registry by the Library of Congress in 2005 as being culturally, historically, or aesthetically significant.
Absolutely. So the film is both a parody and a tribute to many of the science fiction and horror movies from the 1930s up to the 70s. The film production retains many aspects from the stage version, such as the production design and music, but adds a few new scenes not in the original stage play. The film's plot, setting, and style echo those of the Hammer horror films, which had their own recognizable style. And the originally proposed opening sequence was to contain clips of various films mentioned in the lyrics, as well as the first few sequences shot in black and white, but this was deemed too expensive and scrapped. Like, what was going to be was it was going to be in black and white until Frankenfurter arrived, and then again, more like the parallel with the creepy version of Wizard of Oz, as soon as Frankenfurter invites them in, then everything turns to color. But they ended up not going with that. Now, music and lyrics. The soundtrack was released in 1975 by Ode Records and produced by English composer Richard Hartley. In the 1970s, he began a long association with Richard O'Brien. He was originally part of the four-piece band for the Rocky Horror Show, and he arranged the score for the London stage and the film adaptation, as well as the follow-up Shock Treatment, and then worked with O'Brien on another and unproduced sequel called Revenge of the Old Queen. I wish. Now, actors and casting. This was the theatrical movie debut of Tim Curry. This was his first movie. I love it. Oh my god, I'm like so overwhelmed with how amazing that is.
However, he was in the Broadway production.
Yes, so Tim Curry, Richard O'Brien, Patricia Quinn, and Nell Campbell. So that was Frankenfurter, Riff Raff, Magenta, and Columbia reprised the same roles that they played in the original stage production.
They came from England.
Yes. Curry and O'Brien were the only ones who also played the roles on Broadway. So Riff Raff and Frank were the only ones who also did Broadway.
Oh, so Patricia Quinn and Little Nell were not on Broadway?
Correct.
Okay.
Now, 20th Century Fox originally offered a much larger budget to the writer and director on the condition that he cast popular musicians of the day. But the director insisted on using the original cast, so as a compromise, he accepted a much smaller budget and agreed to cast American actors as Brad and Janet, which is why those two were the only ones that were American. Jonathan Adams, who played the criminologist, was also in the original cast. And so, apparently, one of the people that they wanted to play Frankenfurter, if they had gotten their way, was Mick Jagger, which would have been
wild,
insane.
Tim Curry ate this role.
Oh yeah, no, there is
I'm
no
sure
other.
other actors would have done fantastic jobs, but Tim Curry was meant to play Frankenfurter.
Yeah. According to Meatloaf, Elvis Presley was the studio's first choice to play Eddie, and apparently he actually expressed some interest. Oh my god. Can you imagine?
For one scene, Elvis
Oh my
Presley.
god. So much.
I mean, I loved Meatloaf and I wanted more of Meatloaf.
Yes, but that would have been wild.
But also Elvis Presley. Wow.
Yeah. In a recent interview, July 2021 interview, Susan Sarandon said that she actually didn't plan to audition for Janet. She had stopped by the set to say hi to Tim Curry because they were friends, and while she was there, the producers saw her and asked her to try out. They said that everyone they auditioned were good singers, but none of them made Janet funny, which was more important to them. So Sarandon said no, because she can't really sing, and she's actually kind of phobic about it. So producers asked her if she could just sing Happy Birthday, and she did, and they convinced her to do it. They loved her so much, and so she has admitted that it was all really just a lucky fluke. So that's what I got.
Wow.
Yeah.
Good job.
So much going on.
Okay. So, reception and awards. Reception, the film opened in London on August 14th, 1975, and in LA on September 26th, 1975. The film did well in those locations, but nowhere else.
That makes sense.
The film was actually withdrawn from its 8 opening cities due to very small audiences, and the planned Halloween night New York City opening was canceled. It was re-released in film on college campuses on a double bill with another rock film parody, but again drew small audiences. However, within the next year, a couple other films like Reefer Madness were doing very well with midnight showings nationwide, and a Fox executive named Tim Deegan was able to talk distributors into trying out midnight screenings for Rocky Horror Picture Show starting in New York City on April Fool's Day, 1976, so the next year. That's when the cult following really started to gain speed. The film began its midnight run at the Waverly Theater in New York City. Pretty soon after that, it could be found not only in larger cities, but throughout the US, where attendees would get in for free if they arrived in costume.
Amazing.
Now, the Rocky Horror Picture Show is considered to be the longest running release in film history. This is because of 2 things. It benefited from a 20th Century Fox policy that made archival films available to theaters at any time, and it was never pulled by 20th Century Fox from its original 1975 release. So it continues to play in cinemas uninterrupted.
Yeah.
After Walt Disney Company acquired 20th Century Fox in 2019, it began withdrawing these archival Fox movies from theaters to be placed in the Disney vault. But the company made the exception for Rocky Horror Picture Show to allow the traditional midnight screenings to continue.
Yes. And this is how I watched it. It's available on Disney+.
Oh, I watched it on Hulu. It's also on Hulu. Because you know where I did not think to look for it? Disney+.
Same with me. I just looked up, where is this streaming? Like, where can I watch this? And it was like, it's available with Disney+. And I was like, what?
Really? Yeah. You talked a little bit about the critical reception. So this has a 78% on Rotten Tomatoes based on 45 reviews, average grade of 6.9, with a critical consensus reading, quote unquote, "The Rocky Horror Picture Show brings its quirky characters in tight, but it's the narrative thrusts that really drives audiences insane and keeps them doing the time warp again. A number of contemporary critics find it compelling and enjoyable because of its offbeat and bizarre qualities." BBC summarized, "For those willing to experiment with something a little different, a little bit outre, the Rocky Horror Picture Show has a lot to offer." And as I said before, it's in the National Film Registry via the Library of Congress as of 2005. Sangin'?
Tim Curry has a fabulous voice.
Tim Curry. Riff Raff has a great voice.
His skrelt
Meatloaf
was so
has a
good.
great voice.
Meatloaf has a
Right?
fabulous voice. I mean, it did sound like Susan Sarandon wasn't fully comfortable singing, but I thought that her voice matched
It works for
the
Janet.
tone, and it worked for Janet.
There's not a lot of dancing in this. There's the time warp, including Columbia's tap solo.
And then there's Rose Tint My World, like the kick line.
That's not actually Rose Tint My World. That's
that's Wild and Untamed.
Wild and Untamed thing. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it's that whole operetta section where like 3 songs blend into each other. Yeah. The floor show.
Yeah, so I mean, the dancing wasn't like what I would consider to be like musical theater dancing. But I also
think that works in the film's favor because that makes it the whole, like, the joy of going to these screenings is that everyone's in costume and everyone gets up and dances along.
I really
and
want
they have
to go
to be.
to a midnight screening where you do the whole, like, everyone brings the newspaper, you have a light, you, like, throw a toast. Like, I want to go and, like, do the whole thing. Gripes! My big gripe was that I wish we had more Eddie. I thought Meatloaf did a phenomenal job, and I thought Hot Patootie is, again, one of my favorite songs of the show, and I wish that we had had him as Dr. Scott. I feel like that would have been really, really fun.
I have no complaints. I have no gripes. I don't have a single gripe for this film.
Yeah, and we've already talked about our moment of joy, just that, like, everyone knew what movie they were in, that everything was tonally consistent.
I think that's why I don't have any gripes.
Yes. Agreed.
Is that everyone knew what movie they were in.
Yeah.
Which is going to lead me into my homework. So normally homework is pretty specific of like, go read this thing or like go watch this one clip. My homework is watch the movie. If you haven't seen this film, ever if you haven't seen it recently. This is coming out on November 1st, so like tail end of spooky season, but fuck it. Like, I want everyone to watch this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So my homework is to listen to the soundtrack of the 2001 revival because it has Alice Ripley as Janet and it has Raul Esparza as Riff Raff. And honestly, his voice.
Wait, who else is in this?
It's a wild cast. Oh god, I can't remember her name, but she originally played Mimi. She was Magenta.
Ugh.
Anna, you have to listen to the beginning of Time
Oh my god,
Warp.
Leia Delaria was in it? Leia Delaria was Eddie?
She was Eddie.
I knew this. Okay.
Yes, that's why I love Hot Patootie is her version of this song. So I need everyone to listen to this soundtrack. And Anna, you need to listen to the opening of Time Warp because Raul Esparza's voice in this changed the way that I thought Riff Raff should be played, honestly. His voice is so remarkably good. Please listen to the soundtrack. It's a delight.
I will. Grace, this is just for you.
Yeah.
When Fox was doing all those live musicals a couple years ago, they did Rocky Horror Picture Show. Laverne Cox was Dr. Frankenfurter, and you know who was Riff Raff? Our favorite strong-shouldered boy, Reeve Carney.
That man has so much tension in his shoulders.
Just straight-armed, and like it works perfectly for Riff Raff.
Oh yeah, I totally see that, and I could absolutely see his voice working really well for Riff Raff.
Yeah. I'll send you a clip.
Please send me that clip. I want to hear Reeve Carney's
I'll find a clip.
Okay.
Okay.
Anna, I have like 8 fun facts.
All right, well, we can't do 8 fun facts. Why don't we alternate?
So, filming took place from October through December in Windsor, England. And Barry Bostwick, who played Brad, claims that he was always wet during filming because the castle had a leak. And apparently there was only one warm room filled with space heaters where cast members took turns warming up until that room caught on fire.
So when Frankenfurter is bringing Rocky to life, this contraption comes down from the ceiling and there's all these different spigots and he turns them all and they all produce different colored water. Mm-hmm. So the order at which he turns the spigots while creating Rocky was not random. Each color was being randomly shouted at Tim Curry by someone off screen. Yeah. And during the second close-up, you can see this brief look of confusion as he's trying to find the right color that's being yelled at him.
I love that. What's your other one?
Okay, this is my favorite fact. And this is very niche, and I don't know if anyone else is gonna get it, but the actress that plays Betty Monroe in the beginning of this film, in the wedding sequence, is Hilary Farr of HGTV's Love It or List It. Because I looked at her on screen and I was like, I know you.
Yeah.
Like, I watched Love It or List It, and that's been on the air since 2008. I don't know if it's still on the air. Maybe I've just been watching reruns, but like, same face.
That's amazing. Yeah. So the scene where Dr. Scott crashes through the wall of the laboratory was a necessary last-minute idea because set designer Brian Thompson forgot to add a door into the room. And so Brad's line, "Great Scott," was not in the original script and was also likely conjured last minute. So the entire scene involving like throwing toilet paper, which is like a memorable moment if you're an audience member, was completely made up during the time of production because the only way to enter the lab was through the elevator and they didn't have a door. Okay, this is a classic one that a lot of people know, but most of the actors and actresses were not told about the prop corpse of Eddie underneath the dining room tablecloth.
Oh.
When it was revealed during filming, their looks of horror are genuine. The only people who knew were Tim Curry, Richard O'Brien, and Meatloaf, who had to model the corpse. No one else knew. And so, like, the screams and the looks of horror, and there's one moment where you can see Magenta cackling, which was a genius choice. Love her for that. Those were all genuine responses.
Amazing.
Yeah. Okay. Last one's a long one, but it's about stunts, which is why I had to do it. According to Meatloaf, preparations for the motorcycle scene led to several on-set accidents. So his stuntman drove the motorcycle through the scene, including up and down several steep ramps. The bike fell off the top tier and landed upside down, pinning the stuntman underneath it. And at that point, Meatloaf ran over and lifted this bike off of him just enough to move it so that he could get out, but he didn't move for some time, but eventually opened his eyes and told everyone he was okay. Apparently later he told him it's an old stuntman trick to make sure he wasn't suffering any serious pain or injuries before moving. So it's like basically you do like a brief internal check of just like small twitchy movements to see if you can move safely, and then you move. So to get shots of Meatloaf riding the bike up and down the ramps, the crew rigged a wheelchair that would hold a set of handlebars and a motorcycle windshield in front of the camera as the crew pulled it up and down the steps. Now, in the middle of shooting, the wheelchair hit a ridge at the bottom of the steps and sent Meatloaf flying to the floor, and it shattered a camera and the windshield. His stuntman tried to catch him, but the ramp caught the stuntman's leg and caused a serious fracture, and Meatloaf also ended up with a deep gash on his forehead.
Oh my god.
So yeah, that was the final one. That one moment of Frankenfurter chasing Meatloaf around on a motorcycle up and down the ramp, it's such a good moment, was cause for serious injury.
Jesus Christ.
So that was my final fun fact.
Joyous, joyous film.
Man, what a delight, especially after the last movie, which was solid 50%.
Well, if you've made it this far, thank you for joining us on our spooky special edition Halloween episode of Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Ugh.
This is 5678, a movie musical podcast. You can catch us on social media at 5678, a movie musical podcast. Check us out on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter for dramaturgical facts about current episodes and sneak peek facts of upcoming episodes.
Oh man, our next episode is our 20th episode, and I picked a doozy.
I can't believe we're at 20.
I know, very exciting.
Also, who's listening to Babes in Toyland?
It is officially our second most downloaded episode.
It's number 2 now.
I always check just so I can keep you updated because your bafflement and anger is just delicious.
It's not anger. I want people to listen to all episodes. It's just perturbed bafflement.
If you would like to email us your thoughts, please do. Our email is 5678, a movie musical podcast at gmail.com. I know it is ridiculously long, but we are consistent in our branding.
Niche, and we know it.
And that's all she wrote.
I have been Anna.
I'm still Grace.
Thanks so much for tuning in. Oh, if you liked us, follow us, subscribe,
throw us into a star.
Give us some stars. Throw us into a star. Throw us into a star. Write our epitaph. Write us a review.
Yeah. Here she lies.
This has been 5678, a movie musical podcast. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
5678.
There's no business like show business, like no business I know.